Jide Adeola. Jide Adeola has worked at PwC for about 2 decades. At PwC, he was focused on providing assurance and advisory services to a portfolio of indigenous and multinational clients. He has been at the forefront of driving business development for PwC, preferring solutions to clients, managing business risks, supporting business process redesign and re-engineering, and complete business transformation for his clients. He is also involved in significant client capital market and capital raise transactions. In the past 15 years, Jide has focused on energy utilities and natural resources clients, performing audits, due diligence, management consulting, commercial evaluations, and many C-suite or board-level engagements. He has worked across many PwC teams in Africa, Middle East, and the Americas, supporting quality programs for the firm. Jide is a performance coach. He supports and guides people in enhancing their capabilities, breaking mental limitations and inhibitions. He guides individuals to gain optimal performance in work and life. He also helps to create opportunities for growth and development. Jide is passionate about small and medium-scale business. He spends some time mentoring startups and working with businesses to scale up their growth. He's an execution strategist and helps turn plans to achievement. Jide is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. He obtained his master's in business administration from the University of Warwick and his bachelor's degree from the University of Lagos. He was also the host of the PwC podcast called Let's Talk Energy. Jide was recently appointed by Mr. President as the Executive Commissioner Corporate Services and Administration at the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, where he has oversight for the internal operations of the regulatory institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome Jide Adeola.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you can all hear me loud and clear. It's such a pleasure to be here today.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jide.
Okay, thank you very much. So good afternoon. Today we're talking about something very, very interesting, and it's about what it takes to excel and rise to the top. So I'd like to start by a little bit of an introduction of myself. I know you've listened to that summary, just a couple of seconds ago, but I just wanted to say that I didn't start out as an accountant. I started out as a science student, and my undergraduate degree was in the sciences. And when I finished about 23 years ago, I wasn't really thinking about the sciences. I was just thinking about, I wasn't thinking about accounting. I was just thinking about our advance in the sciences. But here we are today, so many years later, somewhere doing accounting and many other things, and it sort of demonstrates the possibility that, you can have as an individual and the opportunities that are in front of you to be able to write your own story the way you want it and the way you like it. So today, as we talk about how to excel and rise to the top, I would like to just focus on 4 things that I felt has been useful to me as an individual in the last maybe 23 odd years since I've finished university. All right, so the first thing I would like to talk about today as one of the things that can help you to rise to the top is commitment. Every time we talk about commitment, the general idea is for people to think about what they do on a day-to-day basis and, how they are committed to it. Sometimes people go to relationships. Other times people look at the present circumstances of their lives. But I like to say that commitment is about, being dedicated to something or to a cause or to a purpose. And succeeding at even the very, very simplest goals in our life requires us to exercise commitment. So every day and in every way, you will see the need for commitment. Sometimes it could be about your personal goals. Other times it could be about anything else that you go through in life. It could be about business goals. It could be about fitness goals. It could even be about your own finances and of course, any other goals that you set. But what we find out is that commitment require you to make some extra effort. And without that, nothing is really achieved. So I would have loved to tell you how easy it is to run the race and, to get to where you're going. But most times we have to put in something extra, and that is where commitment comes in. And if you think about it, where you are today and all the things that you achieved today is just an evidence of the extent of your commitment to all the things that you've ever done in life. It's a reflection of your personal commitment right from cradle to now. Everything that you've done is just about that commitment. So it's not about just stating something or pledging to something. It's about keeping those commitments in the face of foreseen and unforeseen circumstances. Let me illustrate briefly. Imagine a scenario where you're committed to exercising on a daily basis. And then on one particular fine morning, you stepped out and you were at your door and it was raining. And then, you wanted to run, but it was raining. How then do you become committed to that particular activity on that particular day?
So I was talking about commitment. And what you find out is that it really takes commitment, putting in the extra effort to achieve anything that you set out to do in life. So if you think about it, as I mentioned earlier on, all the things that you find yourself at today is the sum total of all the efforts you've made from a commitment standpoint to your life. So I want to just center on 4 things as I speak through all of this. First, I've talked about commitment. 2, I'm going to talk about focus. 3, I will talk about what it actually means to be motivated, sort of different from what people generally conceive about motivation. I'll talk about sacrifices along with that, and then I'll end up with talking about my own journey. These few things I believe would be very vital in the couple of minutes that I have, because I've been told I have 20 minutes thereabout. So let me just get back to it. I've spoken a little bit about commitment. So one of the things I would like to say is that activity and commitment are not exactly the same thing. If you realize and you look back, you see people that have gone to the gym every day of the week, right? But not necessarily achieving the objective they set out there to do. So you might have a lot of activities, right? But if they're not geared towards your objective or your goals, you might not achieve the results that you set out to do. So, but what do you then do? If you can convert the requirements that you have or the goals that you have in life, right, to habits, it's easy for you to be committed to everything that you set out to do. So why don't you start each day by turning all the long-term objectives, the short-term objectives that you have, into something that you can convert into a habit. So for example, you're planning for your exams in May. If you're sitting for the May diet and you have to read SFM, and it has 13 chapters, and the chapters have maybe subsections, maybe you read that little subsection of that particular one in that day, and you convert it to a habit of reading for maybe 10 to 30 minutes or 30 minutes to an hour every day, that particular course. The same thing that happens with reading a book or any lifestyle that you want to have. If you can find a way to transform it into habit, then you have actually achieved the most significant milestone of working towards that particular goal. So that's commitment for you. So completing a routine, when you finish a particular milestone, let's say you finish reading chapter 1, that gives you more motivation mentally and emotionally to keep going. So when you complete those routine, it gives you more confidence, more assertiveness, and it even helps you to manage the fear of failure. And, one of the greatest bottlenecks that we also will talk about in a bit is how you overcome the anxiety and the fear of failure. So these little steps that you are taking will save you so much effort and so much time when the exams are closed. I remember in my university days, I never read at night. And in my own estimate, I wasn't the best in class, but I finished top 5% of my class. But I can tell you, throughout my stay in university, I never read in the night. At the beginning, I was doing camaraderie with all the people that read in the night, but it didn't work for me. And after a while, I found another way to it. So I woke up very early, 5 a.m. every day, and go to the same class from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. accomplish more speed and more speed in terms of what I did. So these little steps will save you a lot of time. You must also be willing. I heard sometime in some of the presentation by the others in a group, and things like that. When you work in a group, you must also be willing and be committed to make your own inputs in that group. No matter how fit you are, you have to do that same journey alongside with others. So that commitment and willingness to support others in that group you find yourself is also very, very vital. So recall that in any goal-oriented team, you must also play your own part. The next thing I want to talk about is not to be afraid of even the examination itself, of anything at all that you try to accomplish in life. Don't be afraid when you get served lemons. So if you fail, take the failure as something that will help you to move to the next milestone. So when they serve you lemon, why don't you make lemonade out of the lemon? Because life will always offer you failure from time to time. And one thing I would like to say today is that acceptance of failure is not a bad thing. But moving forward quickly is the essential thing that will get you on course and on target, to get back on your goal. So if you live in fear and the embarrassment that you failed ICANN, then you never succeed or get to the finish line. So I want to tell you today that if it's possible for you to just, change your mindset and your approach to failure, then you most likely will get to the next level. And I'm saying this in a different way, like have a very good relationship with failure. Right? I'm not saying that you should have a habit of failing all the time, but when you fail, have a habit of knowing that it's just, something that happened to help you to learn how to do it better. So, being your best, despite all is very important and vital in your strive towards excellence and the next phase. But you must also do that with hope at the back of everything you do. The interesting thing about hope is that hope is not really a rational approach to things, but in setting goals, right, you must appeal to your innermost doubt and compel your subconscious mind to the assertion that things are still possible. And that is what hope is. That's why I like to look at hope. Convincing yourself that it's still possible, no matter all the odds that you're facing. So when you focus on that, you forget about beating yourself, accept the present circumstances, and never blame your misfortune on the conduct of the examination and all those other peripheral factors. But just take the little steps and you see that in no time, everything will get right back on time. I want you also to think about one more thing before I jump to the next part, which is, getting rid of all these perceived restrictions. In actual fact, there are no restrictions. Most of the time, the distractions that are in your way are the things that are actually limiting us from achieving whatever you set out to do. So your background may really not be relevant, even though it shapes you so far. But from this point forward, your background is irrelevant. The future is what matters and how you align with all of that. And then, so the next point I want to talk about, I've talked about commitment. Now I want to talk about focus. Before I talk more about focus, there's something that comes to my mind as I'm speaking right now, which is the fact that there's a lot of distractions that we have today when we talk about anything at all, whether we want to succeed in life or we want to talk about ICANN as an exam. There is a lot of digital deluge that floods us from time to time. And, this time around, it appears that we sort of have turned our brain into something like a dumpster, where anything at all we see on the internet, we see around us, information, even on TV or on screens or news, becomes the basis of how we approach things in life. So I talk about 4 things in that area. The first one is that digital deluge, that unending flood of information that is dumped on us. And sometimes that's what makes people anxious. If you cast your mind back to when COVID started, a lot of people could not step out of their houses because they were anxious and they had a lot of sleeplessness because of that digital flooding of information. It's the same thing with anything that you strive to do in life. Try to identify with the things that are essential and are necessary for taking the next step. Somebody talks about 70-40% rule, 70% and 40% rule. When you've gathered 40% of all the information you need, you should be able to start taking a decision. And when you've gathered about 70% or anything more than 70%, seems to be like you are accumulated information. 40%, anything below 40% of the information you need to succeed is not enough, right? Whereas anything above 70% before you start making your decision is like you're trying to be extremely, extremely cautious. So I think that if you can apply those principles, it will maybe help you to filter out things that are not necessary at any point in time. At the same time, we talk about digital distractions. inability to sustain your focus for a long period of time, that is even necessary for the relationship that will keep you at work and learning. There's also the fact that some people have this, inability to remember details because of the fact that they focus too much on digital media. It's something that is happening these days, and I want to encourage everybody to look at all these areas of our lives. Some people don't make any decision at all without reference to any digital source. So, for example, you can't decide what to eat until you have checked Google for nice place to eat in Lagos and all those kind of stuff. So I think that with time, you can find a way to curtail all of this and then enhance your focus. So now, speaking more of focus, now I want you to think about one thing. Find ways in which you can reset your feeling towards the area that you're currently struggling with. How can you reset your feeling? If you cast back your mind to back maybe secondary school or university, think about the courses that you love, the lecturer or the teacher. You find that you were very successful on those courses. Think about the courses that you hated. You also find that you probably would not maybe be your best in those courses. So find ways to change or to reset your feeling towards an area that you're struggling with. In my days, people usually had a challenge with SFM because of the fact that it's a we had a course called MCDS, multidisciplinary case study, something like that. And people always had a challenge with it because you can't really read a particular textbook to get ready for that particular subject. You have to be all-encompassing, think outside the box to be able to know what to do, right? So why don't you change your feeling towards that? Don't be anxious about it. Instead, believe in yourself that you can accomplish it. And this applies to anything at all that you set out to do in life. The second thing I would like to talk about when it comes to focus is reinforcing your knowledge with activities, reinforcing the understanding you have with activities. Sometimes maybe when you are taking a walk, try and remember something that you're struggling with and fix on it for a couple of minutes and then try and see whether you will recall it. When you have an activity that is shaped around something you're trying to remember, it sticks longer. It's just the way the flexibility of the brain is. We remember things on the basis of the events that surround them better. Okay, so think about when you taught somebody about a subject. Think about when you taught someone maybe a course you're struggling with, but you read it and then you decide to teach someone else that same topic. You find that you remember it more because of the fact that there was an experience with it. And that is why there is difference between an experiential knowledge and book knowledge. So refresh your understanding by expanding that knowledge base. And how do you do that? Is by also having activities and experiences that consolidate learning. The last thing I want to talk about under focus is revisiting your emotions and thoughts and getting rid of things that are constantly looping in your brain. Sometimes the reason why people fail is not because they didn't prepare enough, but because you're not engaging with the process leading up to any activity at all, whether it's an exam, because of the things that your mind is speaking to you. All right? So think about it. Those voices that you hear in your mind, those continuous loop of, this exam is hard, though. This thing is difficult. Those things that continue to put in your head. They're not just a minor setback. Actually, most times, they are major setback. They may seem to be harmless, and to be able to remember the things that is necessary in any activity at all in life. And in fact, for some people, it might actually lead to depression if it is unchecked. So get rid of those mental loops and all those self-doubting things that go in your head. And instead, replace them with something else. Replace them with better information. Replace them with things that will contribute more in terms of the concentration levels that you have. The best way to get rid of a bad habit is to replace it with a better habit. And from there, you keep moving and keep shifting up. So shift your mindset up and believe in yourself. Why we focus, one of the things that is very essential is our alignment with our own, purpose in life. Sometimes I ask people, what's your purpose? What are you about? What is it's not something you should waste your time thinking really about. When you think about the essential qualities that you have, the gifts, the things that you do very easily, your purpose is usually around those things. So for example, and then the way you also carve your purpose and explain it to yourself is also very essential. So look at this one. Let's imagine somebody who makes cakes, right? What if her purpose in life or his purpose in life is to provide joy right? And happiness to families as they go around about a table eating delicious cakes, right? You see, the way it's framed is a bit different. One is like work, one is like joy. So when you frame your purpose in life around the things that will make you happy, it also becomes something that you want to always do. So it becomes the reason why you wake up. So when I ask you, what is your why? What is your identity? The things that you identify with are the things that you always will want to consistently do from time to time. It's just like people who are diehard fanatics of a particular club in the European Premier League and all that. It's the same thing. So it might be a specific career height. It may be, things that you want to accomplish in life. Once you can define and align your purpose with those things, it helps you to move forward towards them. And one more essential thing is that it helps you to dissociate yourself from those present circumstances because you now have a new alignment. And that new alignment is with respect to your goals. When you know your why, it helps you to wake up every morning with joy, with happiness, and then you focus on the things that are important. And in fact, that is even a better motivational factor, amongst other things. So, but I want to say that purpose alone is not good enough. All right. So some people say, I know my purpose in life. My purpose is to help and to inspire. All right. But what about other things that your life is all around, right? Understand yourself, know yourself, love yourself. Okay. And know that you're made of more than what you put your mind to do, because that helps you to see that all these things that you're trying to achieve are really not big stuff, the things that you can easily accomplish with dedication, with commitment, and with focus. All right, so we've talked about two things so far. The first one we've talked about is commitment. The second thing we've talked about is focus. Now I'm going to move to the third thing I want to talk about within the limited time I have, which is about sacrifices. What are the things that you sacrifice to excel in life? Okay, I'm going to try and draw a minor equation, which is great achievement equals great sacrifice. And poor achievement sometimes, right, is not equal, but sometimes it's equal to poor sacrifice. I talked about purpose and focus, but the thing that gets in the way of your vision, the things that get in the way of your purpose, the things that get in the way of your goals are the things that you actually should sacrifice. I'll say that again. The things that get in the way of your purpose, your vision for life, the things that get in the way of your objectives, your goals, your personal aspirations, those things are the things that you should think about sacrificing on. So I must say that sacrificing does not mean self-sabotage. So I don't want people to get out of today's lesson and then go out and say, they say we should sacrifice. So you cut out everything in your life. No, it does not mean self-sabotage, but it means that you must find a balance. So there are things that you cannot sacrifice. You cannot sacrifice your health, okay? Sleeping for 2 hours every day is dangerous, all right? You cannot sacrifice vital relationships that help you to be emotionally balanced. And sometimes when something is demanding from you, any relationship that is demanding of you much more than your, well-being, that sort of relationship is what you sacrifice, is that thing that you end, all right? So it doesn't also mean that sacrifice must be a permanent thing. It doesn't mean you have to be on a lifelong, consistent sacrifice mode. Some people do that and they achieve so much in life, but they drop down dead. All right. So what I'm saying is this. You can have a temporary sacrifice, in which case you're saying that, look, I'm going to keep on to eating vegetables for the next 1 month so I can be fit. All right. You can do that. That's a temporary sacrifice. But the key thing I'm saying is that you must have a healthy balance. Sacrificing too much can make you, it can have severe consequences on you. And in fact, some people separate themselves from everybody because they say, now it's I want to study. Every other thing is not important. Right? And then they end up as lonely individuals after they've achieved their goals. All right. But there are some times when you set yourself aside so you can focus on the things that are important to you. So I must also say that your ambitions might call for, things that would focus more on changing your habits, right? For example, changing the kind of food that you eat to a healthier one. It might call that sometimes you sacrifice your vacation so you can focus on that business idea that you're nurturing, or that particular exam you're going to write. Sometimes it may mean that you spend less time on weekends binging on series 1 to 6 of Game of Thrones or whatever that is, right? But, sometimes it means that you will not do all those activities that some of your colleagues indulge in every Friday, right? Yes, if it takes that, then you must sacrifice that to get to the top. They always say that life is not a bed of roses, but it's true to a lot of extent, right? It depends on how you make the bed and what you make the bed of, isn't it? So I think that we must look at sacrifice as something that we do to be able to get ahead of where we are, because nothing is ever served on a platter, right? You must work for it. You must work hard for it. So we've talked about three things now. The first one I talked about is commitment. The second thing I talked about is focus. And in focus, I talked about things that, are distractions that you must get rid of. And the third thing I talk about is the sacrifices that will help you to get to the top, the things you need to focus on. And lastly, I want to talk about the journey to the top, the things that you must look at when you're on your journey to the top. So it might be in terms of writing your ICANN exam. It might be something else. What are the things that you must focus on? So for me, these are the important things. Number one, try to be a part of the important things in your organization, wherever you are. Try to be a part of the important stuff. Okay? If your organization has a focus for this particular year, that focus becomes your own focus as well. That's what you sort of also try to address, because by doing that, you're contributing. Your contributions will definitely get rewarded. All right? And then you put in your best effort into that and focus on the important stuff. If there are no important stuff, say for example, you're an entrepreneur, then create the important stuff, right? Create the important stuff if that is the case. All right? And then you'll be able to also achieve more. Build healthy relationship is my number 2 point. You must have healthy relationships. Sometimes the sum total of where you are in life, also, apart from the sort of things that you've done to yourself, the food you're eating and all that, is also the sum total of the kind of relationships that you have. Now, business is all about relationships. Business is all about relationships. Think about it. Sometimes we have the notion that when you write from Company A Nigeria Limited to Company B Nigeria Limited, maybe you are a supplier of some goods and services and you're trying to contract with another company. A lot of times people look at it and think about the fact that a company is writing the other one. No, that's not the case. It is always Mr. A in Company A that is writing Mr. B in Company B. All right. So you must focus on how you build relationship, right? You must have a good relationship with anything at all in life. In fact, I must dare say that when it comes to ICANN, have a very good relationship with ICANN. Imagine, have a very good relationship with the exam that you're about to write. So you're not hating the exam. You're not angry about the exam. You're not feeling unhappy about the setting of the exam. You'll go into ICANN exam hall or whatever it is that you set out to do in life, and you're looking at it and say, look, this exam, you're going to work for me. All right? Anything at all, you set your hands to do or you set your eyes on, you can see that you have a good relationship with it and you're working towards achieving it. The next thing I want to talk about is prioritizing the allocation of the resources you currently have towards the things that will make you succeed in life. I'll talk about that a little bit. Sometimes, let's say your salary every month is 10 naira. Sometimes what we do is that we allocate this 10 naira on the basis of, what we feel that we immediately need to address. But one of the things I would like to say at this particular phase of our lives, especially as young people, is to understand that you need to prioritize the allocation of your resources to what matters to you, what helps you to succeed. That, my friends, that, ladies and gentlemen, is commitment. So if, for example, you need to accumulate more skills from a networking standpoint, go and buy those books now. All right. If you need to maybe excel, in a particular area of your life, maybe you're not good with time management, go and buy books on time management. Maybe you procrastinate a lot. And one of the things that causes procrastination is fear. All right. So maybe you procrastinate a lot. Then go and get books that address those. Maybe you're afraid or you're anxious. Learn about meditation, mindfulness, the things that help you to relax and calm yourself down. So understand that is commitment. All right. So understand the professional development framework wherever you find yourself. For ICANN, it's like the syllabus. In life in general, what are the things that is required for you to succeed in life? All right. I'll say 3 more things because I see my time is almost up. Be mentored if you can. Mentoring can save you a lot of time. All right. It can save you a lot of time. I can tell you that one of the things that is very, very, very essential for me in my own life is the fact that some of the learnings I have is based on 30 years of someone else's experience. Imagine that. Do you know that in 10 minutes, you can capture the essential learnings of somebody's 30 years of experience in 10 minutes, through mentoring, because then it helps you to focus on the most important things and the lessons of those people's lives. Some of the books we read, right, is a summary of someone's life. And the same thing can be taught to you in 10 minutes of engagement on a consistent basis with someone that can mentor you. People matter. Surround yourself with people that have similar goals as yours and create an environment that supports that. Or if you don't create the environment will create something that controls you. So completely close the tab daily. When you finish work, close the tab. Try and relax your mind. If your mind is always in a loop, try and find something to replace that loop. Play music, listen to an audio book. Do something that takes your mind away from work, because that way you will find that your mind will be at peace. Lastly, you can do everything if you focus. Stay focused on the things that you're committed to. So thank you very much for listening. I wish you a very successful journey in your life, and I hope you've learned something vital from me. Have a very good evening.
Thank you so much, sir. I mean, we're extremely grateful for your keynote speech, and I mean, we learned a lot of things, right? And you spoke around 4 points, right? So we'll just ask 2 questions, and I can see you guys comment. Just, I mean, let us know how the session was for you. I mean, how it was, what you learned. So my question is, I mean, I like the way you even spoke around your experience and mentorship and purpose, right? So coming into purpose, people are like, how does that even relate to my exam? How does what I want to achieve long term help me to even stay focused on my exam, right? And I know that for you to have gotten to this stage, it must have taken you a lot of drive, right? And having a clear purpose, a definition of what you want, right? So we want you to just, I mean, speak on how purpose really drives everything that we do, right? And how we can just figure it out in a way, because some people are like, what should I do? How will I know what I'm supposed to do long term? Like, how can they go about it? The few steps in some little words, and we'll just take the last question. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. This is one of the things I like talking about, so I hope I have enough time. So, everybody here on earth is here for a reason. And sometimes when you ask yourself the question, what is the essence of life? It's usually around what you're naturally bestowed with and the gifts and the talents that you have. But all those things are not enough if you don't understand what you're meant to use them for. All right. So the first thing you have to actually think about is the understanding of yourself. So who are you? What's your personality? You understand? What is the fabric of my life? What am I? What is my what are my talents? What are my callings? What are the things that I'm here to do? All right. So in understanding purpose, you also ask yourself, what are the things that I find a natural disposition to do? So for some people, they find it natural for them to help other people. All right. So you then have to figure out, what kind of help am I supposed to do? I give everybody my salary, for example? No. Okay. So in defining that, you have to sit down, right, and look at the talents you have, right? You are, for example, a helper. You help people. You like helping people. You enjoy helping people, right? So you have to ask yourself, if I keep helping people, what is it going to give me in life? Do you understand? So your purpose is not about yourself. It's more around what you will do, right, to give both yourself and everybody else that is in the world, right, meaning. That is how I say it. You understand? So first things first, think about the things that you're naturally good at. All right? Think about how you can use it to engage the world. It is in that process that you find your purpose. All right? So thank you very much. So understand yourself. Think about the things you're naturally gifted at. Think about how you can use that thing to engage the world. Once you think about those 3 things, you can simplify your purpose in a few words. Okay? So let's say, for example, I'm a very good cook. I love cooking. All right? I'm talented at cooking. Cooking gives me joy, right? How can I use cooking to change the world? Maybe for me, right, is to create jobs through cooking. Are you getting me? Right? So that becomes your purpose. I'm creating excellent experiences through cooking. So anytime you hear cooking, what happens to you? You jump up, you're excited, it's time to start cooking. Okay? All right, so I will leave it at that because of time.
Yes.
I could engage on this for a long time, but let's just leave it at that.
Thank you so much. I mean, really learned that. Sorry, I'm echoing that we should look at the talents that we have and what we already have that God has given to us and use that to define what we want long term, right? So I think people are asking for the final question. People are asking about your ICANN journey, right? How it was for you. I think they really want to know.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that's very exciting. So let me tell you how I stumbled on ICANN. So I studied sciences. I studied biochemistry in the university. So a lot of people may not know that, but I studied biochemistry. After a 4-year course, I went to serve in the north, and then some people came to the campsite to do a test. It was a bank then, back in year 2000, I think 2001. So I was on camp and they came to do a test. So I just sat and I did a test, and I found myself working in a bank a couple of interviews later. When I got into the bank, I didn't understand what they were doing. So the first thing I went to do was I went to a bookshop. I got every book I could find on banking and finance, and I started reading it. And then I started looking at professional career paths around banking. So I found ICANN. Then, I was just researching. I came across ICANN, and then I began that process. So I first registered as a student. Back then, you have to first register as a student before you then begin to write the exam. So I registered as a student. They give you a certificate of that and an ID card, and then I progressed with my journey. After a few years, I sort of abandoned it because I didn't find a natural alignment with what I wanted to do at that time. So I did the first one. Then they gave me a lot of exemption. So the only thing I had to write was just one course in my foundation course. It was just one course I had to write in my first exam. I wrote it, I passed it, but I left it there because at that point in time, I didn't feel that I needed it. So I then came back and I left banking and I joined PwC in 2003. When I joined PwC in 2003, I then re-engaged again with ICANN because I could now see the essence of it. Now, this takes me back to what I was saying earlier on. One of the things is that when you don't know where you're going in life, you might find that you will just be acquiring things that are not necessary for you. All right. So imagine if you're writing, now I find this a lot. You find people writing all kinds of exams, but they are not in alignment with what their career purpose is or what their purpose in life is.
True.
Right. So whatever I've done over the years, I find that alignment. It makes me to know that I just need to focus on specific things that will take me to my destination. And that is to answer the question you asked earlier on. So, but back to what I was saying, I started ICANN. I just went to the bookstore again. Bookstore is your friend. So I bought a lot of books. Then ICANN had some, they hadn't perfected the study pack, but they had this revision kit. So I bought all of them. And then, of course, I would read the study packs. I would read whatever I could find in the bookshops and all that. And that was how I began my journey. I wrote all the exams. I passed them. I passed them all in one sitting, except for one particular one. And that one is called SFM. It was just that one that I did not pass at one sitting. You understand? So, and what did I do? So what happened was that at that particular year, I was a senior associate in PwC, and I was responsible for auditing a very big bank. So I focused a lot on the work. So what I used to do, and that's why I explained commitment earlier on. What I used to do is that I will come to work 8 to 5, right? I will close. Then I used to live around where I worked. So I will close, I will go home, I will quickly read. Okay, I'll read between like 6 and 9. Then I'll leave my reading and I'll go back to work. So I'll do work between 9 and maybe 1 a.m. Then I'll sleep. Then I'll wake up again and repeat that cycle. But you see, that sacrifice was just necessary for me to pass SFM. Are you getting? So that was what I had to do to get it done, because I had a serious career job. If you're in the financial services industry, it takes your time, Yes. And then all I needed to do was to just have time to read. I could understand it. So, again, in the previous session, you talked about the various ways in which people learn. I want to quickly jump in here and say that understand your learning style is very, very vital. Some people like to learn in a class. Some people like to listen. Some people like to study on their own. And for some people, it's a mix of both. If it's a calculating course, you want to study by yourself. For some people like to be in a class for that. So for me, for SFM, I didn't believe that I needed to attend any class. In fact, I didn't go for any study. All I did was to just sit down and break it into modules, break it into pieces, and then learn it. And then one of the things I then started doing was that I would then set up what we call peer group learning in those days. And then I will come back and share what I've learned with some of my friends. Okay. And that was how I did it. And, one of the things that was essential in PwC that also put a lot of pressure on me was the fact that you must reach a particular milestone of, of exam before you can move to the next phase. So if you're going to be a senior associate, you shouldn't be writing foundation. By then, you should have cleared all your foundation. I think we've abandoned it now, if that's the case. But at that point in time, there was always some exam you must have covered before you move to your next phase. But over the years, one of the things I did to sort of separate myself from the anxiety of that is some of the things I've shared today, which is that just understand that you and this exam, you will have a relationship. Me, I am not going to fail this exam. Are you getting it? We are going to work this exam together. We are going to get to the final point. But more importantly is for you to stay focused. Plan your life essentially. So for me, my journey, planning was very, very vital. I allocated time to everything during my exam years. So if I needed to read in the morning, I could wake up at between 5 and 7, read what I need to read, get set for work and go. Then I also make time between 9 and 12 to read. I don't read at night. Doesn't work for me, but that's the kind of person I am. Yours might be the other way around. You work in the daytime, you don't read anything, and you read in the night and sleep in the daytime. Whatever works for you. But bottom line is that please plan your life, plan the way things, and then you succeed at it. So, for me, the most difficult part was when I got to the professional stages. And the only particular course I struggled with was SFM. And I don't know why, because it's my area. And one of the things that I learned from that process is that sometimes the familiarity you have in a particular area breeds some contempt. You just underestimate it. It's like I found out that a lot of auditors fail auditing because they think it's like the software that they use in their offices that is programmed to deal with auditing, right? So sometimes never underestimate a course because it's your area of interest. Instead, focus on the syllabus and try to bring your experience into the syllabus. And that way it's very easy for you to accomplish. So thank you very much for those two questions. I hope I've answered all your questions.
Yes, you've done above justice on it. And I mean, for me and my team, we say a big thank you to you. And I mean, we had a reason for bringing you in because I mean, you've worked PwC, a large organization, right? And you've gotten to, despite all the work difficulties that you mentioned, right? You are a senior associate. I know how it is working in PwC, and you have so much, especially in a bank. You have too much to do, but I mean, your life is still there, right? And you mentioned things like being committed, being focused, and sacrificing, knowing when to apportion that time, which is fantastic, and having a plan. So, I mean, we say a big thank you to you, Mr. Jide. Thank you for your time. I know how busy you've been over the last couple of weeks. I will say thank you, sir. And yeah, all the best to you, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right, you're welcome. Glad to be here. I appreciate everyone for listening. Have a very lovely evening.
Yes, sir. So you guys just say thank you to Mr. Jide for us. Pedro is saying thank you, Mr. Jide. Oluwayemi say thank you, Mr. Jide. And thank you so much. And yeah, thank you so much from Abdul. Thank you for sharing your experiences. Yeah, that's nice. Thank you so much. All right, sir. Bye-bye, sir. So I mean, we've come to the end of this, right? And I mean, thank you guys for joining in. Thank you for being a part of this program, right? And Dr. will join us shortly, and I must tell you that I mean, creating this conference came from a place of me failing a number of times, right? And realizing that people can actually do it better or easier, right? And now I've come to a place where we said, okay, you know what, let's bring in people that can help us. Let's bring in people that can speak to the minds of people. And I can tell you, just like Paul had an issue, Paul wrote a paper 5 times and he eventually got 85 in it. He could have written it once, right? He could have written it once. It was just that, I mean, a lot of things happened. He didn't just know some things, right? And I mean, while we were planning this conference and thinking about what we should help people to do, because we've seen that is a major burden, right? Welcome to that. But I mean, even in my workplace, some people will not get promoted because they don't have ICANN, right? So we decided, and we spoke to a lot of people. We had like 40 people that failed the exams before we did a survey, right? And we coached like 15 of them, and we asked them questions why they fail, what are the challenges they have, and we found out that we could put everything into a bucket and say, okay, these are the things. Maybe you don't have somebody to guide you. I mean, the speakers have mentioned things around having an accountability partner and having somebody that can hold you down, right? And I mean, me and my team, we decided that this is the way to go. Apart from just going to a tutorial center, we want to actually help people know how to pass and pass it easier. Like, I mean, on the average, it costs a lot of money if you do the calculation to write an exam more than once. And trust me, people write an exam way more than once. People write one exam 3 times. I know how much I know how much I spent writing my exam, writing advanced audits 5 times. A lot of money, right? And so we've come up with a very fantastic program, right? And that program, we have a lot of things that will help you to achieve. Apart from the accountability and coaching, right? We've gone to get people like Paul, people that have failed exams before, that know what it takes to actually help you pass a particular course like PM, right? So you'll be seeing people like Paul Adebayo and other people, right? And they'll be putting the product link, right, on the screen, right, which will show you have people that will hold your hands through this process. So I mean, if you come here, literally you would actually pass a course like PM or any other SFM course, because you have people that have failed it before, that know how to do it, how to get it done, and I mean, can guide you through that process. So I mean, the like what you gave, what do you think about it, and why does what we are doing mean so much to you? Maybe.
Well, thank you, Seun. It means a whole lot, and I believe that if you subscribe to this product, you are going to it's going to be one of the best decisions you have ever made, because just like he said, it saves you a lot of time, it saves you resources. Just like Mr. Jide just said, he said in 10 minutes you can get to understand something that someone has accumulated in 30 years. That's how it works. So this online course that we have for you will put you through everything you need to know to help you to scale through your exam and pass at one attempt, and it will save you a lot of cost. So you get to learn from the beginning to the end, and we're also going to hold you by the hands throughout the period of writing your exams. All the things that we have talked about, all the things that our speakers have said, you're going to learn more about them. You're going to learn how to actually even put them into use. You're going to learn the practical aspect on how to go through everything. So our product is well packaged for you. You're going to enjoy it. It's value overload, and we've built it in such a way that it will not even stress you too much, and it's not going to be something that will take a very long time for you to complete. So if you subscribe to our product, you're definitely going to be grateful that you did. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so someone is asking me a question about lecture videos. Chelsea, Godwin, if you have a question, you can just pop it in the question. We'll answer it. So, I mean, we have a partnership with the tuition house, right? It's called MPT, and in that tuition house, I mean, they have online courses, right? And the idea with the partnership is so that, I mean, apart from just showing the strategies, you'll be able to have a tuition house that we trust, right? And that tuition house, I mean, yesterday, they had 28 people that qualified as chartered accountants, right? So we're having a partnership. In short, you even get a 5% discount if you come on our program, so that you work with them. And I mean, since we are all working together, it's very easy for us to guarantee your success. Trust me, because we start preparing for exams 4 months, and we are partnering with Next Page Tutors, right? I mean, it's a very good tuition center. I've also taught there, right? And I mean, we've created that program to be able to help people. So, I mean, Dolapo Odukoya, what do you think? Or do you have anything to add? I mean, if I missed anything, Godwin, you can ask your question though.
Thank you very much, Shimon. So I missed you for a bit, so I don't know where you have covered or haven't covered. But I would just like to reiterate that just looking at our product plan and everything the speakers have said, we haven't missed anything out. From our first module, which is self-awareness and visioning, to our last module, which is accountability. We have reading techniques there, preparation techniques, and your success strategy. You would see that just from saying what they are, it has encompassed everything all the 6 speakers have spoken about today. That means we did our due diligence. We know what we are bringing to you. We are not going to, we have all gone through ICANN at one point in our life. Some are done with the battle, some are still in it. So we are coming with the same pain that you have when you take an exam and you fail again. So the way it's personal to you is the way it's personal to us, and we won't bring you something that wouldn't work. Just to encourage anybody that has doubt that this project will work. Once you key into it, you're accountable to yourself and you put in the necessary work that is expected, you will pass your ICANN exam at one sitting with our products. Thank you very much. That's all I wanted to add.
I mean, just to answer the questions, thank you so much, Dolapo. I really appreciate it. I mean, yes, I mean, MPT is a very good tuition house for PM, right? And I mean, it's just to give you a bit of insight, it's more like an online course that shows you all the strategies. So everything that people have said here about how to eat, what time to read, how to leverage yourself, I mean, it would help you know yourself better and how to be able to know what time of the day to read, instead of you carrying out so many try and error and eventually failing, right? So it's like an online product. And I mean, after this session, we'll just play the product again and we'll wrap up the session. So I mean, it's an online product with coaching, right? Every 2 weeks, you have people that will speak to you and you have discounts from a next page tutor. So just check our page, becomechartered.com/products, right? I mean, is anybody interested in it, or does anybody have any question, or what do you guys think about it? Because I mean, this is literally what will guarantee you just writing your exam once and putting an end to it, right? Like I said, I wrote it 5 times, and if I knew better, I would have written it just once. So I mean, just jump on our program, becomechartered.com/product, right? And trust me, and for the audio and the video of this session, right? I mean, we've decided that we'll make it as a bonus for only those who pay for our product. I mean, you know the amazing things you've heard today. You know how to change your exam, right? So we've put it together as a bonus, and we will not be releasing this. Egbenga, you're interested? Yes. So just jump on the program, becomechartered.com/products, right? And you can easily reach me on LinkedIn if you have any other questions, right? Or on our email. Once you check the website, you will see, right? And I mean, you would only have access to these videos and all the amazing things you've heard today when you jump on the program, right? Because that's like a bonus. We have some other bonuses, which is making people accountable, right? Which is also, I mean, coaching people, like I've said. I mean, we also have thought leaders who have gone ahead that will speak on certain things like self-awareness, right? So beyond passing your exam, trust me, passing your exam is just like 1/5 of the entire thing you will get from this. It will just shift your mind into how people think on a higher level, how to achieve things, how to be better for yourself, how to have a plan for yourself, how to just excel at a new level, right? So, Benga, thank you for that one. We'll be looking forward to seeing you on the program. And any other person that's interested, please just drop a chat. And I think the media can just play the product video lastly before we wrap it up.
Yeah, I would like to say something. John was asking a question saying that can the product key be sent to Telegram group, the Telegram channel? Yes, we'll drop the link to subscribe to the product on Telegram channel so that you can access it via that. Thank you, everyone.
So you can guys hear me?
I wrote skills exam for the first time and I failed theory this. And at that point I was like, okay, that is it. I'm not writing ICANN ever again. Down. I was sad. I was discouraged that I failed. Even after sacrificing or reflecting, I I was really studying. I was just reading, and I still failed. I felt like a failure. I felt I couldn't do anything right. And that was actually my first time failing 3 exams at once. So yeah, that's my story.
So Ayo, I mean, why do you think you failed?
I can see that bus is really wide here, and it is very difficult to cover. So I just thought this part I thought were important. I just see the exam hall and I can't shame me. So some of the part that I didn't later study came out in the exam. Sad. Also, I didn't answer the questions in a professional way.
So Ayo, how was the coaching session for you?
It was really nice. You also were coming at the beginning, and that allowed me to be very expressive, especially about my fears. I like that you give answers to some of the questions that had been bothering me. And you mentioned that it was possible to cover the syllabus, and it gave me a push to study harder. Yes.
I mean, we have some amazing bonuses for you, right? We have a summit, virtual summit with one of the best speakers in the accounting profession in Nigeria, and trust me, we are just going to give you specifically this bonus, right, for our 3 sessions. We're not even going to make it public, right? We're just going to make it for just people that will pay for this course, and I'm happy you really be on this program, right? And also, I mean, you get 10% off to our preferred and recommended tuitionals, right? I've taught in these tuitionals before, and I understand the vision that they have, and I've seen the results they've done, and I can say, okay, these guys, we can go with them. So I'm giving you all that together, right? And you have a lot of clarity, even for your life, even for your career, even for many other things, right? And at the same time, we have some live interviews that we'll be doing with some top leaders in the profession, top leaders in the accounting profession in Nigeria, and we'll be putting that as a bonus too, and in some of our models, right? So, I mean, guys, honestly, I myself, my team, the coaches, and the top leaders, we say thank you, and we say welcome to becoming a chartered accountant as one of them. Thank you.